Good afternoon to all. Myself, Tejaswini, Lecturer Department of Psychiatry Nursing, Yenepoya Nursing College. Before we start the session, there are certain instructions for the delegates. Kindly mute your mic and turn off your camera. Please put your questions in the chat box. It will be answered at the end of the session. Feedback link will be shared at the end of the session. Feedback is mandatory to award the certificate. It's our great pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar on strengthening research proposal by collaboration and partnership. Research collaboration is the key to build and maintain a successful research career. Meaningful collaboration can create an impact for mutual benefit. So today we have Dr. T.K. Keshav Prasad, Professor and Deputy Director of Center for System Biology and Molecular Medicine, Yenepoya Research Center. I welcome you, sir. And I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Leena Kesey, Principal, Professor Umarani Nak, Coordinator of Yenepoya Nursing College, and all the delegates to this program. Now I request Ms. Vinita D'Souza, Assistant Professor, Department of OBG Nursing, to introduce the resource person. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Tejaswini. Today I am here to introduce our today's webinar resource person, Dr. T.S. Keshav Prasad, Professor and Deputy Director, Center for System Biology and Molecular Medicine, Yenepoya Research Center, Yenepoya deemed to be University. To speak about experiences of today's resource person, Sir has completed postdoctoral fellow from Institute of Bioinformatics in the year of 2004-2005, faculty scientist from Institute of Bioinformatics, Bangalore, 2006 to 2018, officer in charge Proteomics and Bioinformatics Laboratory, Neurobiology Research Center, NIMANS, Bangalore, 2012-2017, professor and deputy director, Center for System Biology and Molecular Medicine, Yenepoya Research Center, Yenepoya deemed to be University, and professor and deputy director, Center for System Biology, that is from 2018 to till today. Dr. Prasad is the recipient of Young Investigator Award from the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He had been leading IOB's efforts on the development of the Human Protein Reference Database, which is cited over 4,000 times. He also contributed to a draft map of human proteome, which has featured on the cover of prestigious journal Nature. These two papers are ranked second and sixth among the top 10 publications with Indian affiliation in the area of biology and biochemistry as evaluated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, with the help of two independent international entities, Thomson Reuters and Elsevier, and published in the India's Research Landscape, Output Collaboration and Comparative Performance Bibliometric Studies on February 17, 2016. In Yenepoya, he established a research team on multiomics approaches to investigate human disease using genomics, proteomics, and metabolomics. His team is venturing pioneering areas of multi-PTM analysis, DIA approaches, and developing new tools for metabolomic analysis and mass spectrometry-based molecular diagnostics. As expected of any successful academician, he is a member of editorial boards and reviewer of several reputed journals, international journals, including Nature Communication, Nucleic Acid Research, Molecular and Cellular Proteomics, Science Translational Medicine, Journal of Proteomics, Journal of Proteome Research, Proteomics, System Biology and Medicine. He has published over 180 research articles with a total citation over 11,000, H-index of 39. He is in reputed journal including Nature, Nature Biotechnology, Nature Communication, Genome Research and Genome Biology. About grants and resources, Dr. Prasad has been collaborating with a number of researchers in India and abroad to carry out multidisciplinary research. He received a large number of multi-institutional grants. Dr. Prasad and team have sourced around rupees 30 crores from the various national funding agencies and CSR grants from Infosys Foundation. Besides, he also funded by NIMANS and Yenepoya put together to establish Multiomics laboratories to total amount of 20 crores. All these were possible because of large number of successful collaboration. This year, Dr. Prasad and collaborators have already received sanction of 3 ICMR grants. Speaker tells me all these achievements due to collaboration. Now, I request today's resource person, Dr. T.S. Keshav Prasad, to lead the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vinuta, for the nice introduction. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So, today I am very happy to be here in front of all of you to give a lecture on strengthening research proposal by collaboration and partnership, because this is the one thing which I have practiced over last 18 years of my life. And I can share some of these moments, although I am not very used to talk on these terms in a formal presentation like this. So this overview of my talk today will be mainly centered on research collaboration, why and how it will help. How will it help us to be successful? So when I am telling successful, we also have to think about there are many other ingredients to be successful. There are many ingredients will directly determine to be successful in collaboration, and you have to develop a personality in order to be successful, and we have to develop our own niche and environment in order to attract collaborators. So the collaboration has started a long ago, even much before I started my research career. So I borrowed this slide from one of the presentations, which is shared under slide share in the web. So where the presenter has actually put together how single author publication, that means it may be an indication of not having collaboration. So how it declined over the 10 decade, like from 1981 to 2012, how it reduced in various fields of science, from social science to immunology, if you divide, and even our own biomedical area, how it is changed over the years, how the number of single author publications have consistently reduced. So there is another slide shared by the same author. So this is mainly discussed by Dr. King in sciencewatch.com. So this is a Claviate, our Web of Science branch, so publishing this. So where they have done average number of authors present in any research article over the years. It had been 2 to 3 in 1981. Now it has raised, kept on rising, and then until 2012, this particular slide is depicting. But if you have seen recent years, the number of authors have easily risen to a very good publications of this one. Usually has 10 to 15 authors. That shows that how collaboration is on the rise over the decades. So collaboration can be good and ugly. This has been told a long back by Vachana. The Sarvajna has told one particular thing. So it can be, there may be good collaborators, there may be ugly collaborators. So we have to find who are the people. On our experience, we have to find the collaboration. So Sajjanara Sangavadu Hejjena Savidante Durjanara Sanga Bachala Kocheyanti Hudu Sarvajna. That means the company of good people will always be very sweet, whereas company of bad people can sting. So this over the year we have to experience, and when we get the sign of the collaboration is going to ugly, we should know that terminate it. So now when collaboration when we talk about, this is also very, very closely connected to a world of a scientist. Because today the world of biomedical research is very, very competitive. And as we know, we have so many issues. When we do a research, we will encounter a lot of roadblocks. So, in order to face this issue, we should know our surroundings. So, in which context we are living, in which context we are doing our research, and in this context, we have to become successful. So, how to be different from others? If we know how the surrounding is there, by in contrast to that, you have to look different. And then you also should know how the people judge you in science, how they judge your success. So you have to look successful in order to become successful. And then we also have to create an atmosphere, create an aura around us for people to take up the business of funding you. Why they have to fund you. And we have to consistently give the answer to them why we should get funding. So, for a successful research career, there are many questions we can ask. One main question is how to be successful. Because if you are successful, you get environment conducive for more such implementation of projects and you can gain more success. So, as I told you in the last slide, we have to look successful in order to become successful. So, we should know how we can use collaboration as a tool to succeed. For this, we should first understand what is the measure of success. So, what is the currency of a scientist? A question can be asked, because when you tell usually a successful man, you mean by how much currency he has, how much savings he has, how much business turnover he has. Similarly, a scientist can be judged by the number of publications and number of the grants and number of collaboration, number of students guided by him or by his team. So these are the currency of a scientist. So scientist's duty is to discover or invent and make something useful for the society, betterment of the society. That is the duty of a scientist. By measuring what technology scientist has done, what discoveries scientist has done, whether he invented some kind of gadgets for the use in the society, daily use in the society, based on this you can measure success of a scientist. So now, mainly people judge the success by number of publications, patents or the technologies transferred by scientists to industries. So another aspect of publication is how many people cited your publication. You can keep on writing papers and publishing them. If nobody reads your paper, nobody uses your knowledge, what you have generated, there are no takers, then you may not be successful, even if you generate the publication. How many people are reading your paper or citing your paper is come from number of citations. So then another way of judging, institutes usually make another way of parameters they are taking is the number of how much grant money you have generated for your research. Because these are indispensable. Without the money you cannot do research. So amount of the grant money you generated will directly correlate with the amount of publications you do. Or in other words, sometimes amount of grant money may not correlate to publication, but of course number of publications can be directly correlated to the amount of grant money you spent. And then of course number of people you trained during your career. So why people have to collaborate with you? This is one question you all have to understand very clearly. Do not blame if somebody doesn't want to collaborate with you. You may get into a situation, you may want to collaborate with some expert, but the expert may be very busy. He may not like to collaborate with you. Either he may be busy or he might have not found, he or she might have not found any value by consenting to collaborate with you. For that, you have to develop your own niche area. When I am telling niche area, it is a environmental Darwinian concept that where you are more comfortable, where you are more adapted adapted to do things. So an area you have to identify, certain skill sets you have to identify, and you have to develop hone your skills on that. You have to develop your working and environment to suit for that particular work. Some technology, it can be disruptive technology, it can be routinely what people use in molecular biology and biochemistry, or maybe in environmental science also. So some of the area of set of analysis and some set of experiments you should gain an expertise, and which will be attractive for a collaborator. If collaborator is not an expert in that area, they can come and make a deal with you while writing a proposal or something like that. So you develop multiple skills in that particular sets, because if you want to do certain area of research, if you want to go, you have to see the literature and find out what all the technologies and equipments, other things required for that particular work, and you have to gain an experience in that area. So work on an area when you already you have to learn new things. If you want to develop your area, then why don't you develop in an area which the world needs for tomorrow? So do not do routine things. Find out areas which many people did not venture into. So find an area and develop your skills on that area, because you can advertise these things in your own website. You have to create your own website, your own team's website. All the university or institute in which you are there may not have slots for such websites in their larger program, but you have to create your own team so that the world should know you have gained a particular set of skill sets, and these skills will be useful for research, which is international level research, and you have to develop new themes in that research, and you also have to listen to thought leaders. There are leaders in the world who tells that what can be the requirement tomorrow. So coincidentally, Bill Gates has actually predicted corona-like epidemics, which is going to happen, pandemics, which is going to happen 10 years ago. So now, if you have been listening to these thought leaders, you would have developed your skills already, which will suit in this kind of pandemic. So you could have suddenly become famous, and many people wanted to work with you. So these personality specialists and thought leaders always keep on predicting what the world needs tomorrow. So if you follow these leaders, you can also tomorrow become a leader of a disruptive technologies. So just like Elon Musk told, okay, let us compete with NASA. Let us compete with NASA. So, and he has just came up with a disruptive technology of battery-powered trucks, battery-powered. So these kind of disruptive technologies we should have always in mind, so that we can develop certain things there. So why collaborate? When you think about collaboration, you should know that it is very difficult to perform a project in a complete solitude. So era is gone where you can sit in your own isolation and start performing a project. You are exposed to multiple people, multiple skill sets, which you may not have any idea. You have to learn them. You have to travel around the world and go to the labs where people are working on that particular area. So can someone mute microphone? Yeah, sorry. So you will gain extra rewards for a limited amount of work what you can do. So if you perform collaborative projects, you may not need to break your head on each and every area of the skills which are required for your work. You rely on subject experts, collaborate with them, and they will have the skill sets to do certain part of work which you have thought you wanted to do. So If you want to find a collaborator, you have to look around, that's all. There are collaborators everywhere today. Most of the people have collaborative mindset. You don't need to teach many people how to collaborate if you actually go into that area. So take charge of your life. This is another personality trait you require if you want to be a successful collaborator. If the people want to come and collaborate, you should be an idea man. You should always have large number of ideas in your kit. For that, you have to think about one idea related to your project every day and note it down, because you do not think you will remember that idea forever. So some of the ideas you will never remember when the time is ripe for them. So by the time you got that idea, it will be already time might have passed. That's why whenever you get an idea, in whatever situation, immediately write a small notes of it in your notebook, so that you can go and refer to that at any point of time. Then take steps. When you have time, go back to that idea and take steps to plan out an experiment for that. See, when you plan out new experiments, you should not think about what you don't have. You should not plan out the experiments which are limited to the experiments which is happening in your lab or an adjacent lab. Think about all the experiments which are possible in this world. List them. You only have to find out one collaborator for getting it done. So then, as I told you, another area where you have to take charge is you have to create your own web page and make it public, so that whenever people search for collaborators on a particular area, your web page should appear there. So you have to understand how it takes, how much time it takes to popularize a web page, and how much work you have to done to develop a web page to an international standard, right? Minimal in your web page, but it should be very, very informative. So why collaborate? Now a question people will ask, so I know all the experiments I wanted to do, why should I collaborate with anyone? See, multiple different perspectives will come for your work when you collaborate, because some people have different approach for the solving same problem which you might have not think about. So when you sit across the table and decide it, these things come out. So different perspectives will make a project better, and there will be different skill sets to solve the same problem which will come to the table when you collaborate. So you can achieve successful outcomes quickly and together in a collaboration, which will improve the productivity of you and your team. You can gain productivity, you can gain the outcomes for which you may not have the skills, but you have a collaborator who has skills. So collaboration can start in different forms and different ways. Like first you can collaborate with your colleagues, and you can collaborate ideas with your students. And collaborations can be of interdisciplinary nature. So you may be an expert in genomics. You can go to a medical oncologist or a surgical oncologist and you can develop ideas for genomics of cancer. So, or if you are an environmental specialist, you may be working on some bioremediation projects where these days you can use earthworm or various other microbes to the waste management. But how the product of these waste management might have not been evaluated to the person who is doing this kind of bioremediation work or waste management work. So there you can take your technology. If you are a proteomics guy or a metabolomics guy, you can tell that I can tell the products which are formed because of the waste management, how better they are for another perspective. So these kind of things, you can get into a lot of new ideas when you go with this interdisciplinary collaboration, which will be very, very helpful for society. So multiple academic institutes can come together, or you can collaborate with multiple industries in order to achieve a multidisciplinary tool or a multidisciplinary equipment for multidisciplinary research. So then multiple core facility research labs can come together in order to achieve a very, very internationally mammoth projects of large scale, like human proteome map, draft of human proteome which is done by us. There were many people were involved. We were also working on brain proteome map, where NIMHANS, Institute of Bioinformatics and Yenepoya are involved working together. And for a mycobacterium proteomics work, many mycobacterium scientists are coming in collaboration with Yenepoya these days because of the proteomics unit which is present here. So we are also not sitting idle. We are developing new technologies in order to cater the needs of our collaborators. So because of that, even international collaborations are possible when you develop these new technologies in your own background. So always design win-win experiments. See, there may be, we can always talk about high risk, high reward experiments, but the success in these kind of experiments is always 1%. So therefore, always it is possible to have win-win experiments because our lifetime is limited. So we can always have collaborations on win-win experiment. Win-win experiment, and I am telling you also should win, your collaborator also should win. So we have to have this new habit of thinking about it. Like we have to always think about collaborators. What is the benefit for collaborators when you are thinking about your, then only collaborations will be successful and it will live long. So when you have research collaboration, there are certain beneficial traits for collaboration we should develop in our own as a personality. Because we have to always try to give more to a collaborator than what you expect from a collaborator. This should be in our mind. Then only your collaborator will be stick to you always. Otherwise, if you make it very difficult for collaborators to get what he wants from you, so collaborator can leave you soon. You will lose that collaborator. Because I am telling you, getting a collaborator is like getting a good friend in your life. Because you don't need to have many collaborators. You need to have 10 to 20 strong collaborators with you who will stay with you always. So you always try to give more than what you expect from the collaborator. Your collaborator can be your friend, colleague, or even your boss can be a collaborator with you. All of them are human beings. We have to maintain in our mind. Each and every collaborator is a human being. Why I am telling this as a human being? Because they are not superheroes. You may not expect too much from a collaborator. How much you can give, only that much a collaborator also can give you. So, do not burn bridges with a collaborator for small suspicions or small things in life. So always give up certain things and forget about certain things and do not burn the bridge. Because it's very difficult to get a new collaborator and build the collaboration, trust, everything again. So never lose the trust of a collaborator once you get a collaborator. Each collaborator, each human being has his own experience and his own reasoning skills. And you have to use always these skills in your work. So multiple people's things you have to value. Even your student or even your colleague, when he comes and gives you a suggestion and work with you, you have to value for the time they spend and value for the reasoning ability they have, value for the time they have given you in your life for that particular work. Never hate successful people, because each successful person has something in them which made them successful. You have to find out, you have to learn why they are successful. And do not always be too critical of another person. Oh, I know, people tell story, why he was successful. And then you do some backbiting, you know. So we should not do such things. We have to always show appreciation. If you are unable to show appreciation for successful people, you have to just keep quiet. We should not try to, bitch about them behind. So, do not suspect your collaborator. This is another trait you should have. Do not assume things. If you have some problem, always discuss over the table. Discuss over a tea and communicate. Communicate very well. This is another skill you should have. You have to tell what is your expectation in the beginning. Never make it a hidden agenda, because sometimes your expectation may not be catered. It may not be specified. It may not be supplied. So then you will get upset. So do not do that. First only you communicate. Always communicate in the beginning and make a good plan. Beginning of a research collaboration. How to begin? So there is a topic called business development. Collaboration is nothing but that. You are developing a new business when you are collaborating with a new person. So you have to coming together for a purpose. So let us say in research, you are coming together to get a multi-institute grant. So you will start with a coffee, or you will have a conversation on the side of a conference party, or after the conference, after you speak, the people can come and gather around you and start discussion, and people also can give you comments on your posters when you are presenting in a conference, and then they will make a move telling that we wanted to work with you. So this can happen all of a sudden. When you least expected, a collaboration can happen. When you least expected, your phone will ring or you will get an email. So always treat these things with great respect and immediately reply them. So people can approach you through a profile search. They may not know anything about you. They will just do a profile search, and your web page might have come, and they might have gone through it, and then they might have decided, they might have read some of the papers. But you have to tell all your difficulties as well as your achievements and what you can do, what you cannot do. You have to discuss with your collaborator. Introduction of a party, a new party might have done by your own collaborator, existing collaborator. Then you can have a chat with the existing collaborator about how the other person is. I have had this experience a number of times. My own colleague in the laboratory may come and tell me about another collaboration which is going to come to you. Somebody is going to approach you because I told him about you. So something like that. Always keep the person who has introduced you in loop and try to see that whether that person also can be one more additional collaborator in the big team of things. Because whenever a person does help for you, you always try to help them back. So you should not keep the person who is helping you to get a collaborator to out of your collaborator's project. You have to try to include them so that it will become an inter-institute collaboration. Sometimes what will happen is you may not know anything about the subject. Suddenly your departmental head or a vice chancellor or a director or even the chancellor can call for a meeting, or he might have gone and met another person, another institute. They might have had inter-institutional collaborations, but they may want that to be forced to the down. So it may come from a top-down approach. So then you can help them by getting into collaboration with the find a synergy with other institute. What synergies you can have, come up with a plan and get the collaboration going. Collaboration can begin at any point of time. So when you get an opportunity, you have to do a lot of balance analysis, pro and cons analysis, and get into the discussion. So implementing a research collaboration, a memorandum of understanding, or what we call as an MOU, is the key. Discuss the leaders of your institute or university and what kind of collaboration is permissible under institutes. So have a template from your institute and you tell about your institutional policy to the other collaborator. If they agree to sign MOU, then you start with that. Sometimes what happens is when you are a private institute, a government institute want to collaborate with you, a VI, but their institute may not want to collaborate with you. You can get into such situation. This is quite common when you are working in a private institute. So at this point of time, you may have to approach your directors, your vice chancellor or registrar or even HODs and find out how to make it possible without MOU. How you can sign a collaborative agreement and do PI to PI kind of this one, whether it is permissible. Always keep your institutional authorities in loop. So never hide anything from them, because when you get into problem tomorrow, these are the people who will protect you. Always remember this. So you have to have a MOU or a collaborative agreement, because anything which looks very good today may lead to ugly situation tomorrow. So find out other things. In this memorandum of understanding, you can already jolt down certain things like who is going to lead the research proposal, who decides how to share the resources. So rules of data storage and data exchange, how you can disseminate data, and how you will decide authorship and credits in the resulting publication. Who will assign authorship? What kind of authorship position will be given to you and your team or your institute? What kind of credits we will get? Everything you can jolt down in the beginning under MOU. Decide the authorship distribution early, even before you start project. People will tell, no, authorships are decided based on contribution and all those things. So let us decide on the contribution also in the beginning, because I will tell you, these days we have a lot of bridges across the river. Olden days we had to travel through boats. There used to be a boatman. So he will take you. Entire your life will be in the hands of boatman when you are crossing the river. So when you reach the other side of the shore, you get out of the boat, then you give him 1 rupee. So if the boatman would have asked you the same question in the middle of the river, you would have given whatever money he wanted. But once you reach the other shore, you become little stingy. So it is like that. It becomes a thankless job. After all the work is done, shared the data, if you decide authorship, you will not have much say in that authorship distribution, because other party can be acting smart. So many times there are collaborators who will act smart like this. So in order to nudge all these bad things happening in the collaboration, you have to decide this authorship distribution early. It will look very, very bad when you talk about this, but you have to do that as a diplomacy. One of the diplomatic things, you have to decide authorship and other things in the beginning itself, even the timeline. Otherwise, there is no point. People can change their track very easily later. And then you also have to look into what is the IPR policy of the partnering institute. Because fortunately in Yenepoya we have as early as possible before you get into a collaboration. So this is one must in inter-institute collaboration. Otherwise, after doing everything, they will tell that IPR policy is 90% for our institute, then we will be in trouble. So, role of the institutes in research collaboration. This is another thing where our institutes will have particular role in playing in your research collaboration. You should know this. So, institutes can make your research compliant to all the national policies and guidelines. There may be a lot of conflict of interest arising because of multi-institutional collaborations, and material transfer agreements is one of them. Legal issues and regulatory agencies. In an international collaboration, there are particular guidelines issued by national agencies, and each area of research has multiple agencies come into picture. It may not be able, a PI may not be able to keep track of all these things. So institutes have a particular cell, collaboration cell, research collaboration cell, or there may be experts in the institutes. You have to approach them before getting into any of these collaborations. Maybe in our institute you have quality compliance officers as well as incubators, cell people, and our chairmen of our departments are well versed with many of these issues. Those who are sitting in SRB meeting and ethics committee meeting, you have to talk to them before you get into any agreement with the outside party. So scientific ethics and integrity have to be maintained, and university or an institute is a custodian of that. So they may have to intervene in any research collaboration when it is going without any of these guidelines. They may have to come in. And we know how to start a collaboration, then we also should know how to close a collaboration, how to end a collaboration. So we have to have documents to end a collaboration. We have to have a clear-cut policy to end a collaboration. So then collaboration with the industries, when you want to get into so many other issues, because industries do not have the interest which is scientific academic interest industries may not have. Industries have interest in products and products. So publications may not be an interest for industries. So when you are publishing something, you have to keep industries in loop, whether what you are publishing is not detrimental to ownership rights for invention. So even data dissemination, when you disseminate certain data, there may be inherent nature of its being detrimental to your business interests in the industry. So you have to sign these kind of policies. Some of the times what happens is the research you do may have conflict of interest with the industry, because industry may want to propagate their products. So they may be giving their compounds, and you may have to tell them that it is very nice and very productive compound, very beneficial compound. When you tell this, you have to make clear that I am collaborating with the industry which sells these products. So any of the publications what you are finding is not influenced by the industry's intentions. So these kind of statements we have to do very clearly in our work when you are collaborating with the industries. So in international collaboration, there may be restrictions of shipping materials. You may have to get a consent of External Affairs Ministry, Home Ministry, and even biodiversity boards before you get into any data and even material exchange or even molecule exchange like DNA, RNA and proteins. You have to understand very clearly that tomorrow it will come to a big blow to the entire institute if you are found nagging in that area, caught napping in this area. It will be very difficult. We cannot overrule any government regulations for a short-term benefit for ourselves. So we have to make it very clear. We have to talk to experts who have done such kind of analysis in our own institute, or you may have to approach these ministries and talk to them, these boards, and talk to them what can be shared, what cannot be shared. If something cannot be shared because of national interest, we cannot work on that area, and we will be blacklisted if we found, and we may be even jailed and imprisoned. So we have to be very careful when we are disseminating data. There may be a conflict between collaborative and independent work. You may be independently pursuing certain things with another collaborator. Suddenly, the collaboration which you are doing in your in-house partner and external collaborator may have clashes with each other. We have to make all these things balanced. We have to first only has to state these things when you are getting into collaboration. We have to see that these kind of conflicts should not arise in collaboration. And there may be conflicts between consultancy and collaborative work. For example, I have a collaborative work on spine injury with Dr. Aital in Yenepoya University. I may be approached for proteomics of work from another institute which is working on spinal injury in the form of consultancy. So as a leader of a laboratory, I have to do consultancy. I don't know what is the sample, but I know the people's background, what they are working. So I may have to disclose my collaborative work with Dr. Aital to a consultancy work on spinal injury when it comes to me. So these conflict between consultancy and collaborative work is very important. We have to disclose them whenever it comes. We should always, because otherwise one day it will be detrimental for collaboration. So then also cultural sensitivities. For example, I wanted to work on a proteomics, large scale proteomics of cow, holy cow. But that may be culturally sensitive subject. So then I may have to decide whether I should work with buffalo or cow. So because both of them are almost identical, or I may want to work on Bos taurus, which is a Holstein cow, because Indian diaspora may not have, Indian population may not have sensitivity towards Bos taurus samples if I take. So these kind of cultural sensitivities are also we have to look into when you are doing international cooperation, because some things which are very very sensitive for Indians may not be sensitive in USA. Some things which are very sensitive in India may be very sensitive in Southeast Asia or in UAE, Dubai or other countries, Arab countries. So we have to take into account of cultural sensitivities when you take up projects in collaborations. We should not get into problems later. So therefore, in collaboration, communication is the biggest key thing, because you have to call over phone or have regular meetings, and you have to develop a plan from scratch, and whatever you talk on phone or other things, always document it by writing a follow-up email or follow-up document. And you tell that in that meeting how many participants were there, what is decided in that meeting, and get an answer from the other party agreeing to the yes, I agree with the content of the meeting or content over what we have talked over. So regular meetings and update findings, even how small they are, you have to try to update with the collaborator, because tomorrow there should not be room for any suspicion with collaborators. This one, if you can't disclose all of them, it is better not to collaborate, because usually an expert collaborator will tell you that I don't want to collaborate with you. You should not get offended, because he might have found he or she might have found many problems in the way you deal with things, or you become sensitive, because there are many collaborators are available. Why one has to collaborate with you or collaborate with one party and get being beaten later? So always it is key to communicate with the regular meetings and update the findings. Even if there is no progress, it is updating of no progress is also important in collaboration. Otherwise, if there is no outcome even after 2 years or 3 years, it can happen. Some of the collaborations take only after 2 or 3 years of discussion, because things may not be conducive to implementation so far. So even if those kind of things, regular communication channels should be open. Report and discuss every negative result and problems which are also faced in a collaborative works, because most of the negative experiences or negative things which are happening in the lab is not reported in the form of, and sometimes you feel that, oh, if I tell these negative things, oh, they may question my credential. It should not be, because collaborators should know why the time has been spent, why things are not happening. So you should update the collaborator on a real situation. So because that is the only way to remove suspicion. Always keep collaborators informed. All the collaborators should be informed. And you also stay informed with the activities of collaborators from time to time. Do not think that a collaborator didn't tell you. Don't get upset. Try to find out. Try to pose questions. Always ask multiple questions on collaborators, on everything what they do, because there should not be any room for suspicion. Collaboration will die. So that's why it is very important. Ask questions, solve all your confusions. Never keep something in your mind that, oh, that person is doing something wrong. Always stay informed about the collaboration. So then, in a management of collaboration, always plan all financial issues vigorously. And you also plan training and supervision very clearly. Maintain notes, check the people regularly, check the notes regularly, and have update on every aspects of collaboration. Former agreements and amendments to MOUs, because you might have signed MOUs 3 years ago. Now there may be several situations might have happened, several investigators from your lab might have left. Their name have to be removed or amended, you have to get it done. So a successful MOU will be the one which is getting amended from time to time. And you may have to amend your ethics clearance, you may have to amend amendments you may have to do for your SRP permission, you may have to do amendments to your IBSC. All these kind of things have to be done time to time. Let us comply to all the regulations. And we also have to have updates on IPR policies and credits, and this also has to be written, how the data is shared, how the inventions are shared, how the credits are shared, how authorships are shared. All these have to be documented very early into a collaboration. So once you are ready for a collaboration, you have to think about what kind of grants you have to apply. So do not wait for a call for proposal. Already develop collaborative grants. And when the call for proposal comes, you are ready with most part of the other data which I told, all the sharing of resources, sharing of collaboration, all these things can be written as a part of your grant. That we have already got ethical clearance, we have already got SRB clearance, we are already have signed an MOU between the institute in order to carry out these things. We have already draft manuscripts are ready. These kind of things you can make a part of your grants. When you do that, your grants have a higher chance of funding. So multi-institute collaborative network grants are highly funded these days. And there are grants which are telling center of excellence. Center of excellence is very key for collaboration because there may be an expert and there should be a lot of young collaborators should be there around him in order to transfer his credentials or in order to transfer his skills to the others. So Center of Excellence is very much dependent on collaborative networks which you have already formed. Because there will be only 1 month after the call for Center of Excellence has come, you cannot forge alliances within 1 month and then write grant too. So these kind of things like incubation, BIRAC, product oriented things, skill development programs, you may need to work with multiple institutes, multiple collaborations may be required, and developing in national facilities you need a lot of collaboration, only then it will be funded. So there are women scientist schemes, so advantage is no competition with men, so only with the women you have to compete. So there are grants given for career break. So these grants, although there may not be any mention of collaboration is a must or something like that, but always it is better to collect 3 or 4 supporting letters from collaborators and include in the grant proposal. That will make you highly competitive with the rest of the women scientists who are applying for the same programs. So the grant opportunities that I have discussed in my last talk some couple of weeks ago, various agencies are there. You can apply for international agencies. Once your collaboration is set, you can apply. There is one more very special grant called Erasmus Plus, which gives only with the 5 Indian institutional collaborators along with the 5 European institutional collaboration. And all the 5 European institutes should be different countries, and then all the 5 institutes in India can be different organization. So then only it will be funded. So this is a very specific. If you are a very good collaborator friendly person, you can forge 10 collaborations in one grant. You get a very huge funding in Erasmus Plus. And there are a lot of corporate social responsibility grants. If you have a big set of collaboration, already known collaboration, this one, chance of getting funded by them is very easy. So to end this talk, I will come up with a saying in Subhashitani, how to start, manage and complete a successful collaboration. This is a very key. They have defined it long back. Like, Arabhyate nakalu vigna bhayena nichaihi, prarabhya vigna vihata vismaranti madhyaha, vigne punaha punarapi pratihanyamanaha, prarabhya chottama jana na parityajanti. Inferior men do not start a work or a collaboration due to lack of failure or due to lack of roadblocks. So medium people will start their work but leave the work when they get into difficulty, when they face the difficulty. Oh, what to do, man, there are a lot of problems came, so I just left it. Like that you say. So exceptionally good people who are very good in collaboration, they start their work, plan well, continue doing work until they reach success. And only you have to personally meet them and discuss with them how much problems they faced, how they solved each one of them on their way. With this, I thank you, all of you, for hearing me patiently, and I am ready to take questions. Thank you, and all. Over to the organizers.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, there are some questions asked by the participants.
Yes.
So the question is, which collaboration is good, either intra or inter collaboration? One question, sir.
There is nothing like that. It can get ugly, even inter-institutional collaborations or inter-departmental collaboration, or success depends on how you carry those collaborations with you. As I told you, I have jotted down several plans with my own experience. I have informed you to. It depends on the ingredient what you have, how you carry out. If you do plan it well and without postponing any detail to future, you plan it early, and wherever we do compromises on this kind of planning because of lack of response from the collaborator, they went into problematic things later. So that's why when as early as possible, you decide what the role exactly each collaborator will take place, how data is disseminated, what are the roles and responsibilities of each collaborator, and let us stick to that. And you can have every month you have to have a discussion, be it formal or informal, about how the collaboration is moving forward. It doesn't matter whether it is inter-institute or inter-departmental.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question from Josmita Maria D'Souza. She asked that which are the grants offered by state government?
See, there are several agencies like Karnataka. We have Innovation Technology Department. It's also called as BT, IT and ST. So they regularly give call for proposals, but these grants are very, very small grants. It can be used by beginners, and most of them are nowadays oriented towards developing skill sets which are required for industry. So you can regularly go to their website and monitor them. And there are many cooperative social responsibility grants like Infosys Foundation and other things are there. And they regularly advertise. So one has to keep watch on them.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question. The participant asked that how we can understand the topic is suitable for collaboration.
No, that all happens. It is like a business development. So somebody has to read some of the things about business development or a product development. When you start, everything starts over a coffee. So you have to discuss with subject experts, or you have to read a lot about that subject. And you have to always see that what is finally coming out, how you are going to solve the problems of industry or problem of a society. So how much value you are giving to the society at the end of the day. Stakeholders of the society, stakeholders of the, finally you have to go to them. You have to deliver something to them, good to them. It is not just publications. So how you are going to develop skills of people who are ready for industry, and also how you are discovering something new which will be a game changer in either management of diseases or management of livestock or management of agriculture and so on. So how society will be benefited by your research, based on that your collaboration is dependent on. Your research topic is fundability of your research topic is dependent on.
Now I request Dr. Leena Casey, Dean, Yenepoya Nursing College, to give the concluding remarks.
Very good afternoon, respected speaker, Dr. Keshav Prasad, and all our delegates. Dr. Keshav Prasad is an eminent researcher and an authority in itself in terms of collaboration. And I'm sure all our delegates have got this wonderful experience and had a very wonderful session and to learn about collaboration. And whatever he spoke is from his vast experience of getting mind-blowing amounts of collaborations and his achievements in publication. Sir, indeed, we are overwhelmed with the achievements that you have had, say H index or citations and I-10 index, etc. Um, let us only hope that with such informative and such enriching talks, we get somewhere near to that. I'm sincerely hoping that this session will benefit all our delegates and result in very valuable collaborations in the future. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Shashikumar to give the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. On behalf of NAC Criteria 3, I would like to thank our resource person, Dr. Keshav Prasad, Professor, Deputy Director, Center for Systems Biology and Molecular Medicine, Yenepoya Research Center, Yenepoya deemed to be University, for sharing his extensive knowledge and experience on collaboration with us. Thank you, sir, for your informative and wonderful session. Also, I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Leena Casey, Dean, Yenepoya Nursing College, and Mrs. Umarani, Professor, Vice Principal and NAC Coordinator, for their constant support and guidance throughout this webinar. I also extend my hearty thanks to NAC Criteria 3 members and non-teaching staff of Yenepoya Nursing College and IT Department of Yenepoya deemed to be University for your cooperation and timely arrangements of all the facilities. Also, I extend my deep gratitude to all the participants who have joined this webinar and made it successful. Thank you all.
Dear participants, we have shared the feedback link. Kindly give your feedback and thank you for joining the session.
Excuse me, ma'am. There is no chat box option in this Microsoft, so many of us did not receive the feedback link. Ma'am, please send the feedback form again because we didn't find, ma'am.
Sir, please share the feedback link.